it's Alice, and today we're back with another part of my bookshelf tour. Today we'll be taking a look at my fantasy books and my sci-fi books, including my dystopian books. That's like my favorite subgenre of sci-fi, so I have quite a lot of those. And then all of my graphic novels. And these shelves are quite packed, so let's just get into it. Let's start with where I have all of my sci-fi and fantasy books. I have about 3 shelves in total, and I just really love reading these kinds of books. These shelves are a little bit messy. I've sort of packed stuff everywhere, but we're just gonna go through it. On the top here, I have these 2 books. These are actually in Norwegian, and they are translated from Danish. This is Om utregning av romfang, and this first one at least has been translated to English. It's called On the Calculation of Volume, and these books are sci-fi, but like light sci-fi. It's about a woman who is stuck in a time loop, and it's very interesting. This is actually the second one, and then this is the first one. I've only read the first one so far, and I think there are gonna be like 6 or 7 books in total, but I'm really looking forward to where we're going in the second book. These books are all books that I haven't read yet. We have Tower, which is about this huge building that it's like a sovereign nation, and it's a translated book, and I just thought it sounded interesting. We have LMNOP, which is a dystopian book where letters of the alphabet get banned. And then we have another dystopian book. I think this is translated as well, and it's like post-apocalyptic. These 2 books are also books that I haven't read yet. We have Fahrenheit 451, which I'm really looking forward to, and The Children of Men, which I'm looking forward to, but it also sounds kind of creepy. Over here, though, we have these 2 books by Margaret Atwood. Of course, we have The Handmaid's Tale, which is one of my favorite dystopian books, and I really like this edition that I have. It has like red spine, and I really like the minimalistic design. This is one of my favorite dystopian books ever. I think it's such an interesting and clever book, and I think about it all the time. And then The Testaments is the follow-up to it, which I liked, but I think that this is by far the best. Station 11 is another one of my favorite books. I read this for the first time years and years ago, but I still think about this book. I do want to reread it because I think I've forgotten a lot from it, but it is one of my favorite like post-apocalyptic dystopian books that I've ever read. It's very interesting, and it's beautifully written. Under the Eye of the Big Bird by Hirumi Kawakami is a book that I really want to read. Another book by Emily St. John Mandel. I haven't read this one yet. Then we have Brave New World, which I think is really cool. This is a classic, and I think everyone should read this. It is so messed up, but it's really good. Kindred by Octavia E. Butler is another one of my favorites. It's about a woman who gets brought back in time to this particular person over and over, and again, it's one of my favorites. Dystopian really is like one of my favorite genres, and this like I feel like dystopian books and books that deal with like time travel are like my favorite subgenres, or like things that happen in science fiction. This one is excellent though. It's so good. We have more Octavia E. Butler with this trilogy, the first book being Dawn. This is such a creepy book. I was so disturbed when I was reading this, and it's one of those books where I didn't really want to continue because I was so freaked out, but then I had to continue because I was so freaked out. I thought it was excellent. I still haven't read the follow-up to it, but this one ended on quite the note, so I really want to read these ones as well, but I am scared because this first one was just, oh, it was so creepy. I, of course, also have the Hunger Games trilogy. For some reason, I have these in the wrong order, but whatever. These are like, I don't remember where I got these editions, but I have not seen a lot of other people who have them. But for some reason, I have these ones, and I do really like them. And again, I want to reread the Hunger Games because I read it for the first time probably over a decade ago, and I think that it's some of those books that actually hold up, so I do want to reread them. Tender as the Flesh is another one of, I don't know if I would call it a favorite book, but I think about this book a lot and it kind of blew my mind. It is a book that I don't easily recommend at all, and it is horrifying, but it is very good. I feel like this shelf in particular highlights the sort of dark books that I like to read, and like yeah, I guess dark is the right word to describe it, but I do think that's why I like dystopian and like post-apocalyptic fiction and stuff. I also have these two books by Philip K. Dick. I've only read Ubik, which is one of the most insane books that I've ever read. I don't know if I fully understood it, but I liked it, I think. And then Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep is one that I want to read. It's the basis of a movie that's called something else that I can't remember, but I do want to read the book. I Who Have Never Known Men, another one of my favorites. I think about this book all the time. It's super weird, but it's so good, and it's one of those books that I feel like is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. We have another book by Augustina Basterica. This is The Unworthy. I really like this one. It's pretty messed up. We have The Master and the Margarita. I don't know if this really belongs on this shelf, but I have this cool edition, and it's a book that I've had for probably over a decade, and I really want to read it. Everyone tells me it's amazing. I have The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I haven't read this one. Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata. Haven't read, but I really want to. Terra Nullius is a book that I've read that I feel like is quite underrated, actually. It's a really interesting dystopian book. I don't want to tell you much about it because I think going into it blind is the best way, but it's really good. The Wall is a book that I got quite recently that I want to read. We have the Oryx and Crake trilogy by Margaret Atwood. Still haven't read this one, but I really want to. These two books are books in the same trilogy, actually. The first book is The Book of the Unnamed Midwife. I feel like this is a really underrated post-apocalyptic / dystopian book, and I really, really recommend it. It's so good. This one is actually the third book. I had the second book and I read it and I didn't love it, so I got rid of it. But I do want to read this one to sort of finish the trilogy. But you can also read the first book as a standalone. It works as a standalone and it's so good. It is bleak though, and kind of like gritty. Lastly, for this shelf, we have these 4 books by Maja Lunde. These are in Norwegian because she's a Norwegian author, but I think most of these have been translated into English. The first book in this series is Bienes Historia, which translates to the history of bees, and these books are sort of like in the same series, but they're very loosely related. I think maybe this first one is the best one, but I have really enjoyed these other ones as well. Moving down, we're getting into the fantasy, and this is kind of just a mishmash of all kinds of different things. We have a witchy book up here that I read quite recently that I really liked. We have this edition of Alice in Wonderland, which I think is super weird, but I really like it and I feel like it fits the book perfectly. Over here we have a book that I haven't read yet, but I really want to. Now She's Witch by Kirsty Logan. I really want to read. Starling House by Alex E. Harrow is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. I really enjoyed this one. It was very gothic, kind of like spooky, and it's like fantasy set in our world, and I really, really liked it. We have Slewfoot, which is a really cool book. This has some really creepy illustrations in it. I feel like this gives you a pretty good idea of the vibe of the book. This is like a witchy book, historical fiction. It's really good. The Book That Wouldn't Burn, I haven't read yet, but I really want to. I do really like this cover, but the book is kind of big, so I'm a little scared of it. This stack is just kind of like a mishmash of different things. We have this book, which I feel like is really underrated. It's very short. We have some witchy books, Shady Hollow, which I really want to read. Howl's Moving Castle, I really want to read. This one, I've read, want to read. Still haven't read Mexican Gothic, but I really want to. And we have some V.E. Schwab, and yeah. I have a lot of these books that I really want to read. A Psalm for the Wild Built is technically more science fiction, I guess. This is a cozy sci-fi, and it's very, very sweet. I really recommend it if you like sort of like cozy fantasy or cozy sci-fi. We have this book, which I'm really looking forward to. I've heard that this is great for fans of T. Kingfisher, so I think I'm gonna like it. From Bad to Cursed is actually a sequel to Payback's a Witch that I have here. I really enjoyed that first book. It wasn't my favorite, but it was a lot of fun, so I figured I would also read the sequel. I haven't read this one yet. This is a mermaid book that I haven't read, but this one, as you might know, is one of my favorite T. Kingfisher books. It might actually be my favorite T. Kingfisher book. It is on the lighter side, but it still has some darkness to it and a lot of humor, and it's about a quest, and there is a chicken possessed by a demon in this one, which I feel like it's worth reading this book just for the chicken. Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reid. I really want to read. I've read a couple of books by Ava Reid now, and I think this will be my next one. We have more T. Kingfisher. We have a translated book, which again, if you like cozy books, this might be great. More T. Kingfisher with Thornhedge. This one I haven't read. T. Kingfisher again. Have another witchy book that I really like. Keeper of Enchanted Rooms. Want to read. This one I want to read. More T. Kingfisher. This one I still want to read. This is a beautiful edition, and I'm guessing it has mermaids in it. I can't remember what this book is about, but I do still want to read it. This one is a cozier book that I still have on my TBR, and I just think it looks super cozy. The Maker of Swans is a book that I read years and years ago, and I don't remember a lot from this, but I remember the feeling of really liking it. And I do really like this cover, so I've kept it for a long time. Circe by Madeline Miller is one of my favorite books ever. This is such a beautifully, beautifully written book. I love the main character. I just think it's so beautiful and moving, and I really want to reread this one. And I do love this edition that I have. It's like super pretty. Lastly on this shelf, we have another pretty book. This is The Grace Keepers by Kirsty Logan. I read this probably over a decade ago now, and I still think about this book occasionally. I know not everyone likes it. It is kind of weird, but I really enjoyed this one, and I really should reread it. The bottom shelf is very messy, and it's kind of dark, but we're just gonna go with it. Here we have some of... oh my god, this series. These two books are in the same series. It's a trilogy, and the third book still is not out. I read this for the first time, I think, when I was in my teens, and it is one of the best fantasy books that I've ever read, but I never recommend it because the third book hasn't come out, and it's been over a decade, I think. And I don't know, I'm just a little bit annoyed with the fact that the third book isn't coming out, or may never come out. I don't really know. I really want this trilogy to be finished, but yeah. If you like fantasy, these are some of the best fantasy books that I've ever read. We also have these books. These are not in order, but we have Spells of Forgetting by Adrian Young, which is a witch book, I'm pretty sure. And then these are in the same trilogy. It's kind of annoying that these aren't the same size, but the first book is A Deadly Education. I've read this one, but I haven't read these two yet, but I really want to. They're kind of like dark academia, and you know how much I love that. This one is Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. I really like this cover, like I think it's really cool. This is like a cozy fantasy book, and if you're into that, I would really recommend it. Over here we have The Will of the Many, which is a newer fantasy release. I really, really liked this book. I think the second book is out now. I haven't gotten it yet, but I'm really excited to read it because this book ended on the craziest, like, thing, and I'm so curious as to what's gonna happen in the next book. I also do really like this edition. I think it's very pretty. The Starless Sea, I haven't read yet. Then we have two books in the House Witch series. I read this first one, but I haven't read the second one yet. This is like cozy fantasy. Then we have the Emily Wilde books. The first one is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. I really like these books. Again, sort of like cozy fantasy, and I really want to reread this whole trilogy actually because they're so enjoyable, and I love the mix of sort of like adventure and darkness, but also coziness. Like, it's just so good. This book I haven't read. It's on my TBR. The Diviners by Libba Bray. I read years ago and I really, really enjoyed it. There are more books in the series and I used to have all of them, but I feel like the first one is the best one and the only one that I would be interested in rereading, so I've kept that one. This one is on my TBR. We have more T. Kingfisher here. I really like this cover actually. It looks kind of like vintagey, but I really like it. And this is the first book in a 4-series book series, I think. And all of these books come in these like beautiful editions. We have The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I still haven't read. I really want to. Everyone tells me it's amazing. We have The Bear and the Nightingale trilogy. One of my favorite sort of wintry trilogies. I really recommend it. And then we have this trilogy by V.E. Schwab. I've only read the first one, A Darker Shade of Magic, and I still need to read these two. Then on the top here, we have this witchy book, which is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We have a witchy book on my TBR. I have a lot of witchy books. Another one, and another one. I've heard really good things about this one, and I'm really looking forward to it, especially because I loved Starling House so much, and this is the same author, so I'm really looking forward to this. I, of course, have an edition of Lord of the Rings. I really like this edition. I think it's very pretty. It is obviously kind of big, and there is a part of me that wants this in, like, a thing that's split into 3, but I do have this, and it's beautiful. A Sorceress Comes to Call. Again, T. Kingfisher is also a really beautiful book. I really enjoyed this one. This one is still on my TBR. Then we have Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. These are some of my favorite cozy fantasy books. I love them. And then we have Hungerstone, which I still haven't read, but this is like a vampire book. Lastly, we're gonna do my graphic novels. This is a very messy shelf, and the graphic novels are actually only here. So I'm gonna remove some of these, but yeah, I have a lot of these. So first at the top here, I actually have this one. You may have seen this on Instagram, this guy who makes these like short comic strips, and it follows these aliens, and I just think it's super cute and kind of funny, so I just had to have this. This one is a graphic novel by Isabel Greenberg. I have another few of hers over here. This is a relatively new release, so I recently got this, so I haven't read it yet. We have The Firelight Apprentice by Brie Paulson. She wrote also here somewhere the Garlic books, which I love, and I really like this art style. It's so beautiful and atmospheric, and I really, really enjoyed this one, but my favorite will always be the Garlic books, I think. These 3 books are technically not graphic novels, I guess. They're like illustrated fairy tales, and they're really, really cool. The art style is kind of gothic, as you can see, and these are fully illustrated. So there's a lot of like play with text and the way that the story is formatted, I guess. And then we have these beautiful illustrations. And I love this kind of art style. Like, it's kind of different and weird, but it's so cool. This one is obviously Snow White, but I also have Cinderella, which is really cool. Again, it's kind of like similar in the art style. And then the last one is Alice in Wonderland. And I do feel like this style particularly fits this story because the story is so crazy, and I just think it's really cool. Kind of crazy, but very cool. Getting into these books though, we have these illustrated Agatha Christie books actually. These aren't like my favorite, but I do really like Agatha Christie, so I've kept these, and it's like a graphic novel version of these stories, which I like. I also have one for Murder on the Orient Express. We have another one by Isabel Greenberg. This book is massive, so it's kind of hard to show you, but I love Isabel Greenberg's style. It's kind of different and a little weird, but it fits her stories so well. And her stories are kind of like whimsical and weird, but they're so good. And especially this one is my favorite, I think, and I love the way that everything ties together in the end. Women in Battle is like a feminist book, I guess, and it's all about the women who have fought for the freedom of women, which is very cool. I do have this in English, but this is written by Norwegian people actually, so technically it's translated from Norwegian, I think. This is also actually a book in Norwegian. This is Livet, which translates to life, and this is just an illustrated book all about life, and these illustrations are beautiful. This book is kind of big, so it's a little hard to show you, but these illustrations all represent life, basically, and it's a beautiful little book to flip through. I just called it little. It's not little, but you know what I mean. Winter Tales is an illustrated book with like short stories or like fairy tales. It's obviously very beautiful. I also have this book, When I Arrived at the Castle by Emily Carroll. This one is very short, but very spooky. We have another one by Isabel Greenberg. This is Glass Town, and this tells the story of this fictional place that the Brontes made and wrote about. And it's all about that. Again, kind of weird, but really, really good. We have another one of these feminist ones. We have this one, which is really cool. The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers by Jen Campbell. Spooky book, great for like kids. This is more illustrated than, or it has like illustrations, but it's not fully illustrated. We have Ghostly Tales, which is short stories. We also have a graphic novel version of The Handmaid's Tale, actually. So if you feel like reading the novel is too much, you can read this instead. It is pretty good, and it is very like true to the story. Nordic Tales is another one where it's like stories and folk tales and fairy tales. Then we have Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. I usually always recommend this around spooky season because it's one of my favorite spooky books. It is like properly like creepy, a lot of these illustrations and these stories. Like, just look at this. It's so creepy. But it's so good, and I love the color palette in here, and these are like original stories, and yeah, on a dark, gloomy, sort of like atmospheric night, this is perfect. Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls is an illustrated book about like different kinds of women who have had an impact on the world and on history. It's really cool. It's a great way to learn about different kinds of women, and it's a great gift to any like young person in your life. I then have these like pamphlet things. I can't remember where I really got these, but I have them and I've read all of them, I think. I don't remember a lot from them, but I've kept them because I think one day I would like to reread them. We have another illustrated book about women. This is Women in Science, so if you want to learn about fearless pioneers who have changed the world who are women, this one is great. Next to that, we have one of my favorite graphic novels ever, actually. It is The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman. I recommend this to anyone. Like, it's such a good story. It's a story about a father and a son and their relationship, but also the father who was in the war, and it's about the Holocaust, and it's such a good book. The art style, like, maybe it doesn't appeal to everyone, like it's in black and white and everything, but when you get into it, all of this makes perfect sense, and it fits the book and the story so well. Really, really recommend this one. It's so good. Squire is a graphic novel that I haven't read yet, but I really want to. We then have Mooncakes, which I've read. This is like a cozy romantic story. We have Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. This is perfect for autumn. It's about like friendship and it's very sweet. Then we have the garlic books that I will never shut up about. I keep talking about these books. I feel a little annoying that I keep bringing them up, but they're so sweet and I love them so much. This first one in particular, I just think is the best. And I love the color palette, and you know how much I love autumn, so this is just perfect for that. And I recommend this to everyone. If you're having a bad day, this is the perfect book to read. The Girl from the Sea is another really sweet book that I've read. We then have Delicates by Brenna Thumler. I do have Sheets by Brenna Thumler as well, but I've lent it to someone and they've had it for like over 6 months, so I really need that book back. But I have this one, which is the second one. I do also have another book, actually, a graphic novel called The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich. And that belongs on this shelf, but I've, again, lent it to someone and I haven't gotten it back. But I really recommend that as well. And then lastly, we have The Prince and the Dressmaker. And again, if you want something sweet and kind of romantic, this is perfect. I kind of just want to go dive into a fantasy book now. Maybe I'll pick up a fantasy next. But yeah, that was kind of it for today. As always, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!